Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's Let's Talk Business with SJC, and I am here with my co-host, Dr. Sinead Davis. And listen, we were listening to the commercial just a moment ago, and Dr. Davis, they were talking about my shade and texture. And if you remember, we were just there a couple of months ago supporting the program that they had going on. And I just love it when we can come together as a culture, as a people, as business owners, as advocates for our health, and all of us be together. You're on the show. It's In Touch News Radio, supporting all these Black-owned businesses and Black causes and nonprofits. I am just so excited today. We're going to be celebrating. It's Pride Month. It's Men's Health Awareness Month. We have graduates from all over. So first and foremost, let us take this opportunity to say thank you to In Touch News and a shout out to DJ Anna. She rocks with us and produces our show every single week. And to those of you who are streaming live on Facebook, if you're on Let's Talk Business page, or you could be on Your Best You, we're streaming the show live, In Touch News. We will tag all of our guests on their Facebook pages, but we thank you because of the information that they're going to be sharing today. They are the experts in their field. They're at the top of their game. Please like the page and share, share, share. Welcome. Hello. It's June, Dr. Sinead Davis.
Hey, hey, hey. Thank you so much. It is the second hour of Let's Talk Business of Health with Cheryl J. Cousseau. Today we are welcoming Janet Kitchen. She is the Executive Director of Positively You, and she's going to tell us about Pride Month and Black Pride specifically. Sometimes there are these taboos in our community, and I've been working personally with Your Best You. Your Best You has been working with Positively You for just over a year now, and it has been an extraordinary blessing. So we thought it not robbery to our community to highlight Pride Month, because we don't do enough highlighting of that. We want to do everything that we can to squash taboos and give respect where respect is due. And Janet Kitchen is here to tell us about Pride Month and pride in our community. How you doing, Janet?
All right. Well, let me tell you who Janet.
Good afternoon.
Well, Janet, I'm going to introduce you to our radio listening audience, and even those who will catch us later on YouTube. The Janet Kitchen is the founder of Positively You, Inc. Its mission is to provide culturally appropriate and compassionate programming to HIV positive and high-risk individuals in Polk, Hardy, Highlands counties, and the Tampa Bay area, with an emphasis on tailoring activities to meet the specific needs of the individuals. She currently serves on many state and national advisory boards, advocating for the rights of people living with HIV/AIDS. She has been featured in numerous local papers. And let me just stop by saying she's on the cover of DSI Black Pages. She has been a supporter of DSI Black Pages for many years and has written about the community of Positively You. So take that. She's also featured on the national circuit, television interviews, and has done public speaking in many settings, such as Dr. Davis, our churches and universities and conferences and open forums throughout the country to increase the awareness of HIV and AIDS. Janice is often asked to travel to Washington, D.C. to represent and advocate for the needs of people living with HIV in Florida, as well as for the 2011 WEGO Health Activist Award. She was a nominee for that. And she has also been awarded the Shiro Award from the National Minority AIDS Council. There's a lot we can talk about. She has appeared on BET, Wrap It Up, So we will let her share even more information about this purpose that she is fulfilling. And so I introduce and welcome back Janet Kitchen.
Thank you so much. It's always good to be here with you, Cheryl. Let's talk business. It's definitely an honor and a pleasure, and to be with the other hosts that are here with me and that's on the panel. Um, Positive. I thank you for that introduction. It's kind of difficult to hear about yourself and your accomplishments. Sometimes we just do what we do because we do what we do, and that's been my motto. But here at Positive You, this month is a big month, Pride. From the exception in the history of HIV, one believes that it started with gay men. I think it was only because it's the first reported. But this month on June 5th was Long-Term Survivors Day. And those of us living with HIV celebrate that day. It was June 5th, past Saturday. It was the 40th anniversary of the first found case of HIV. It was celebrated and talked about by our President of the United States, President Biden, and our Vice President Kamala Harris spoke on it and had a written proclamation. So we're very proud of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Davis.
So Janet, Pride is about more than HIV. It's wonderful that our community has such a treasure and a resource here in the Tampa Bay area and really beyond throughout the state of Florida with Positively You to help minimize the stigma of HIV, to help the community know that there are ways to prevent HIV infection, and where HIV infection exists, there is care and ways to be treated continuously so that viral loads can get to an undetectable range. And when loads are undetectable, that also means that the virus cannot be transmitted. That said, again, Pride does not mean, HIV. Tell us what Pride, is. Tell us about these pronouns that sometimes we don't use either correctly or don't feel comfortable using when we're not a part of the LGBTQAI.
Yeah. There have been some new alphabets added. It's ever evolving, continuously evolving, but I am a strong ally of our LGBT community. It is important that Positive You is an inclusion organization. We have employed 28 employees. Out of that, we have encompass of transgender employees, gay, lesbian, and bisexual employees. Not that we ask anyone's sexual orientation, but it is just a culture within Positive You to welcome all, and we say all, we are inclusive. So Pride June is Pride Month. I have flags behind me. I'm not going to try to distinguish all of the colors, but I will say that during this month there is a lot of celebration because of the stigma around being LGBTQ. We here at Positive You try to have very strong inclusion, diversity, cultural diversity classes, training, not by me, but by those of that community. We believe that during Pride Month, we celebrate and we try to continue as the anti-stigma that has come with it. And it's very simultaneous or synonymous with HIV and Pride of dealing with stigma. So at Positively You, we try to pull those two together and try to make sure that the same stigma, those that deal with HIV, we do not want to exhibit that same stigma within our organization with those that are LGBTQ. So one of the things I'm very proud of in Positively You, we have supported many Pride events. We've had our own Pride events. And just so that anyone that wants to know, they're in Tampa. We're located on 1420 West Waters Avenue. And in our building, you'll see in the front, we have the flag that's behind me. And that there is a signal that someone knows that we are definitely pride friendly, that they have a safe haven and a safe space within Positively You.
Awesome. So just to help our audience out, this is Pride Month. So I want to know if I encounter, let's say, a person that I knew when I grew up, as Joe, but now he is Jackie. Okay, how do I address Jackie? What do I call Jackie? Where do I go from there? Tell me how such an encounter, the best way to deal with those things. We see a lot of that professionally. We see a lot of that, socially now. Let us know, educate our audience on how to deal with those encounters.
I think it's very simple. We need to go back to basics. If I say my name is Janet, you call me Janet.
Boom.
If I say to you right now, my name is Barbara, you'll call me Barbara. But what if I told you my name was John? And I look this way, but I told you my name. And so it may be a question to you, but if I tell you my name, we try to be respectable to individuals. We do not use, it is offensive to use a pronoun that the person does not tell you. So, for example, the example that you just gave us, Dr. Davis, regardless of what you knew the person before, what is presented in front of you is what you address the person as. The best thing to say is not, it used to be very polite to say, what is your pronoun? Not everyone understands that, that kind of terminology. It would be better to say, could you tell me your name?
Yeah.
Very plain and simple. What is your name? So if my name is now, what do you say, Jackie? Then Jackie is what you call me, regardless of anything else you see, what the appearance may show. My name is Jackie, just like my name is Janet, but I can look like a Barbara to you, but my name is Janet. very, very simple.
Absolutely. I love that. So, and just in the few minutes that we have left here, we have some other things that we want to cover for the month of June. I just thought that was so important in our cultural diversity lesson that we got here at Your Best You, thanks to Positively You.
Yes.
That is something that I learned. Just as, my name has a very culturally unique spelling, Shani, Shani, Shania, but I like to be called Shanae. That's what Mama called me. That's what I'm going to be called.
Yes, she does.
That's my preference. That's my preference. So if I was born, a Joe, but I want to be called Jackie, respect me because I deserve respect as a person. Call me by the name that I want to be called. Everybody deserves respect. And that is the main focus of Pride Month. Respect for all so that we can have pride in who, we are, to whom, we belong, and everything that we ennoble. Live your best life.
Yes. Thank you.
And that just ties right into Janet's mission. And if you heard me when I was introducing her, it's providing culturally appropriate. And that was so on point, Dr. Davis. But to you, Janet, we say thank you for the work that you're doing. Please continue to do it. How can we as a community reach out to you, connect with you, and help your organization?
Positive You is a nonprofit. We always accept donations, rather it be monetary. At this point right now, we're collecting clothing and food. During COVID, that was a high priority on the list, was homelessness, those needing money to pay utility bills, and clothing and food. We are a nonprofit. You can just look us up. We are a 501c3. It is tax deductible. That would be the best. And if anyone wants to come out and have HIV testing or education, we're there for you.
Oh, that's great that you said that because you may not know this, but if you're reading our flyers, my church, New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, we actually have a closed closet. We have a home, a 3-bedroom home
Oh,
that
wow.
houses clothes, new, used, gently worn, that we would love to help you. So I will put you in touch with our coordinator, Yvonne Douglas, and see how we can help you this month. Happy to do so.
Thank you
Happy to
so
do
much.
so. This
Thank
is why we have to make the connections that we make here on the show. If you don't allow us to get all up in your business, then we can help you with your business.
Yes.
Thanks again, Janet Kitchen. And listen, celebrate. It's National Pride Month, and she's brought some awareness to us. Let's leave her with what she said. Be respectful.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Janet. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
back on your next trip to the show.
Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. Oh my goodness. And it just gives us pleasure. That was part one. Part two, National Men's Health Awareness Month. And yes, we also know it's Father's Day. And joining us today, and we have another guest that's going to pop on, but he's really not a guest. He's the owner of the station. So Daryl should already be on, and we're waiting, I think, for his audio. But in the meantime, let me welcome a first-time visitor to Let's Talk Business with SJC, and my co-host, Dr., as she likes to be called, Shanae Davis, is Barney D. Morris. Welcome to the show, and I'll let you say hello, and then we'll come back and introduce you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the great welcome. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm looking forward to the show.
Absolutely.
All right. So who do we have? Well, he is recently retired as assistant inspector in charge with the Miami division, assigned to the Tampa field office of the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. His area of responsibility encompasses the northern and middle judicial districts of Florida, as well as the middle and southern judicial districts of Georgia. Say that 5 times fast. Prior to joining the inspection service, Inspector Morris was a manager with the Riverside CA Department of Education, where he was responsible for monitoring the fiscal operations of 13 K through 12 school districts. He is also a decorated, retired Air Force officer major. And may I say, thank you for your service, sir.
My pleasure.
Having served a combination total of 20 years between active duty and reserve, specializing in information systems communication and information assurance, IT security. At the conclusion of his military career, Major Morris was in charge of information assurance compliance team that ensured Air Force reserved bases across the country were protected for cyber attacks intrusions. Barney gives back to his fellow citizens as the president emeritus and chairman of Health and Wellness Committee for the 100 Black Men of Tampa Bay, Inc. Just check out the logo on his shirt, where he leads the efforts in 4 primary disciplines aimed at improving the lives of members of underserved and disenfranchised communities. The 4 programmatic areas of focus are health and wellness, mentoring, education, and economic empowerment. But wait, Barney is also a board member of Moffitt Cancer Center's Prostate Cancer Advisory Roundtable and a member of the National Oncology Research Information Exchange Network. You may know it as ORIEN, Patient Advisory Council, where as a cancer survivor, he frequently uses his public speaking skills to motivate young and old in the importance of cancer preventative care. Additionally, he's on the forefront in reducing inequities and disparities relative to health care, particularly in cancer research. My goodness. Major Morris, welcome to the show. Are there 10 of you?
You know, sometimes I wish there were. I really do. And on top of that, you know, I'm married and I got 3 adult children, so I have to find time for all of them.
Oh, listen, that's very, very important. That is very, very important. As a matter of fact, you probably should have started with that one. But listen, we're so glad to have you on the show. And we have that will be joining us in a conversation facilitated by our in-house expert, Dr. Sinead Davis. And listen, welcome back to the show, Daryl Johnson.
Yeah, I had a hard time getting on. I was sharing an account with the radio station and I had difficulty getting on, but I'm here now. Thank you so much for having me.
You're on at the right time. And thank you for joining us. And God does answer prayers. Dr. Davis?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Mr. Morris. And one other thing that was left off that long list of accomplishments was that big old boat. And if we have time at the end, we're gonna talk about your boat business. So, but with that, you know, everyone knows, hopefully over the years that you know, I've introduce your best you that my doctor is a PhD. I'm a proud nurse practitioner. So right as I got my PhD, I wanted to figure out, you know, it's easy to write about, you know, the research, but you have to really figure out how to work it, you know, to put the practice of research on paper and do it with all the protocols necessary. That took me to Moffitt Cancer Center, and I met Mr. Morris through that process, and I'm just so grateful. I've heard your story several times, and I think Moffitt has an amazing advocate in you. Will you brief our audience on your experience with prostate cancer? You know, how you came to know about it, what that process entailed once you had, you know, your procedure, some of those sensitive things that you know, men really want to know about. And then once we hear that, we want to hear the reason we have our DJ CEO on board, because he, under no circumstances, has held anything back when it came to, you know, the general answer. We want, I'm going to be here for that clinical part, but for what men really need to know about prostate cancer for this Men's Health Month, we want you to tell your experience, and we want to know what the man's man thinks about it, and ask and hear what he has to ask. Please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Davis. All right, real quick, briefly, let me just tell you a little bit about my journey with this cancer. It started in 2004. I was a federal agent at the time. As part of the job requirement was to have an annual physical. During the physical, my PSA, my prostate-specific antigen, which is a reading dedicated to the prostate, came back slightly elevated, 3.2. For someone my age at the time, I just turned 41. My primary physician felt that I should at least have a second opinion, looked at again by a urologist. You know, I was like, you know, at that time, well, okay, I'm healthy, no symptoms. Okay, just a matter of fact, it really wasn't concerned. Went to my urologist, and you know, one of the stigmas, you know, the reluctance for men to undergo the prostate screening, you know, you have to have a digital rectal exam, usually, as well as your PSA test. You know, it was funny, during my initial appointment, a nurse practitioner, male, came in and he did the physical exam, did a DRE exam, and said, you know, I don't feel anything. I think, you know, maybe you just have a slightly enlarged prostate, right? The primary urologist came in and he said, well, Mr. Morris, do you mind if I do an examination? You know, of course, I said, well, I've been violated once, so let's go ahead and do it again. You know, and you know, that's when the journey started. I can remember him saying to the nurse practitioners, I feel a slight enlargement, upper right quadrant, some millimeter, then it drowned out. He looked at me and said, "Barney, we need to do a biopsy." Fast forward, went through a biopsy. Biopsy confirmed I actually had prostate cancer.
Mm.
So here I am, and now, of course, and then he said, "Well, go, we're gonna need." It's funny, with a urologist, they recommend surgery. If you talk to an oncologist, they recommend radiation. So we'll go home and do some research, and then we decide what you want to do. Now you can imagine, here I am. Okay, now what? As an agent, I'm anal about doing research.
Mm.
In 2004, the amount of information for Black men 40 years old with prostate cancer was almost non-existent.
Mm.
I went through and had a second opinion, went through Mayo Clinic, and that's where I got exposed to the disparity and the treatment when it comes to minorities. So they talked to me as if I was ignorant. As if I didn't know what I was talking about, and they were telling me stuff that I knew was incorrect. I'm like, wow, So I left there and then went back to my primary and said, okay, let's go ahead and let's proceed with the surgery. Had my prostate removed, thank God I was married at the time. My wife was there, and you really need that support structure. I went through and I healed fairly quickly. Was on the road to recovery, and unfortunately, which occasionally happens, you don't always remove all of the. Well, I tell you, you never always remove all of the prostate tissue. It's almost impossible, especially when they're trying to do nerve sparing, which allows you to have sexual function. So usually some tissue remaining. About a year later, my PSA started to quadruple every month. Went back in and said, "Yeah, we pretty sure the prostate cancer is back. We don't know where. We didn't think it had got outside of the prostate, but apparently it had. So what we're going to do is start salvage radiation." I said, "Okay." Well, I had read about, I knew what that was about. Now here's what happened. I remember Labor Day 2005. My oncologist called me at home and said, "Hey, Barney, I need to talk to you." I said, "Okay, you must be talking about me coming in to start my radiation." He said, "No, I'm calling you because we have determined your cancer has metastasized to the skeletal system, and it doesn't look like radiation is going to do any good."
Jesus.
So I said, "Okay, well, what now?" He said, I said, "What's the prognosis?" He said, "Well, based on the studies and the research, we give you a life expectancy of 4 to 5 years. Talk to you on Tuesday." Click, hung up the phone. So here I am now.
Barney.
It's not supposed to go like that.
It's not supposed to go like that. So what I did, fast forward this, I pulled up my MRI exam, my film, and I did a comparison myself, and I could see the abnormality, but it didn't support what it was saying. So I went somewhere else. Saw another oncologist, and he said, "Well, it may have returned, but however, I agree with you. We need to do a radical biopsy of that area, which is my right hip, to confirm, because we don't want to make this diagnosis erroneously." I had another biopsy. It turned out it had not metastasized. I ended up going through salvage radiation at Moffitt Cancer Center, and I've been cancer-free since 2006.
Wow.
Awesome. Listen,
Congratulations, man.
We want to hear from Dr. Davis, and we definitely want to hear from DJ CEO. I cannot believe you encapsulated all of that in just a matter of minutes, and you just did it so cool, calm, and collectively. This is what we're going to do. I mean, I've got questions. Daryl's got questions. Dr. Davis has questions. So let's do this. You left on a great note. And that was the fact that you went to Moffitt Cancer Center. You're going to talk about your collaboration with Moffitt Cancer Center. Moffitt is definitely a partner of us, of In Touch News, DSI Black Pages. And now let's talk business with SJC. We're going to come back and give each the opportunity and some of our radio listening audience if we can get to you. Post your questions in our Facebook chat, and then we will communicate them to Barney, even if we have to reply to you after the show. But on that note, we're going to take a commercial break so that we can hear back from all of our participants on the show today. So sit tight and try to be calm. But listen, while we're on commercial break, like the page, share the post. What this man has said and is about to say is life-changing for someone else. So we will see you back here shortly. Dr. Davis, put your background up. DGCEO, put yours up. If you want to put the 100 Black Men logo up, you can, but we already have your picture of your collaboration with Moffitt. So we are going to break for commercial. Back in 2.
See you shortly.
All right.
Favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Family, it's LA celebrity lock stylist Bray here. I am so excited to announce that I'll be returning to your city for a very special 2-day event at Tampa's very own My Shade and Texture at 4202 East Bush Boulevard. On Friday, June 11th at 7 p.m., join me for a free, intimate conversation about lock hair care and maintenance. There will be light food, drinks, and prizes in store. And on Saturday, June 12th, stop at my pop-up shop and learn why customers love my vegan lock and twist cream, lock detox, and hydrating oil. To register for the event, please visit www.locksbyb.com. Again, that's www.locsbyb.com. Hope to see you there.
Listen to In Touch Radio anywhere. On your phone.
I'm listening right now, man.
In your car.
I'll keep that going.
On your computer. It's a new world, baby, and we are global. In Touch Radio.
I'm here with my second hour of the show, co-host Dr. Sinead Davis. But listen, I got to tell you all, thank you, Daryl. Daryl gave us a tour.
What? Am I home?
Daryl has been giving us a tour.
Look.
And he finally found that perfect spot.
I'm just trying to,
and I'm going to guess, listen.
What?
I'm going to guess, Barney, that he's in a very, very important room for this very, very important conversation.
You know what? I came right back to my computer. I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm working. I just looked. What can I say? I wasn't prepared for this, so I apologize for going all over the place.
That's all right. Sometimes those technical difficulties
what's the theme of the show? It's Catch the Show, where we will be all up in your business. No matter if it's your home business, your health.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. It's just family.
Yeah.
Family sharing information, and we're all in different locations.
Absolutely.
But listen, Barney, you went through that so quickly, and I recognize that this is a show where we don't have a lot of time. But I'm certainly looking forward to the book where you will be breaking it down. But I must ask, before Dr. Davis comes back, and I know Daryl has some questions, but you glossed over it so quickly. When you first got the news, were you not afraid, anxious? Were you that calm? When you heard the diagnosis?
It's funny. My overall demeanor, I'm pretty much always calm. I had a house fire. Our house caught a fire once, and I walked up to the house, and I was walking toward the garage, and the fire chief came out and he said, "Well, sir, you can't go in there." I said, "Why not?" I said, "It's my house." He said, "Wait a minute, this is your house?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, were you so calm?" I said, "Well, is my wife out? The kids out?" He said, "Yes." I said, "The dog out?" "Yes." I said, "Well, I got insurance." So I'm always, the rest is minor. Now, to answer your question, when you get the diagnosis of cancer, the first thing comes to your mind is, okay, now I'm going to die. And that's what came to my mind, and my wife was sitting right beside me. And so I said, well, I can't break down because I can't, if I break down, she's going to break down, then, all hell's going to break loose. So I'm trying to process what I just heard. So, the anxiety, the fear, and then the military comes out of me. Okay, what do I have to do to fix this? And I went into that mindset. What is it I have to do? And what is it I have to do to make sure those that can treat me do what they're supposed to do? So that's the mindset that I went into.
I understand that totally. There's a lot to unload here, and I want to go back through some of the things that you mentioned before the break. First of all, your PSA with your primary back in 2004, that prostate-specific antigen test, that test that is not a cancer marker, but it's a marker for prostate activity that goes into. It's a part of the screening process. I think it's important that our men know that. That's not the end all be all. That 3.2 is actually in normal range. It's good that your primary care provider knew that even though 3.2 is less than 4, that as a 40-something-year-old Black man, that was higher than what is a typical normal, and this needed some more investigation. That's one thing. So get screened and ask questions. The second thing that you mentioned was, you started to immediately look at your options. You said radiation, then you said surgery, and you decided on surgery, and then you had to come back and get, radiation also. So hopefully, some questions will come up around those things. There's the point being, there's more than one way of treating and managing prostate cancer. That's important. Third, the word prognosis you mentioned. Prognosis. When you asked, what's my prognosis? That's how your healthcare provider may say, your prognosis is good, your prognosis is bad. That's what you can expect. What does the future look like for you? That's an important word for our audience to know. Fourth, you sought a second opinion. And you went to, eventually you got to Moffitt Cancer Center. This is an NCI designated cancer research institution right here in our backyard. And we got to use and know what resources are available to us as a community, especially as a community of African Americans. And last thing I want to make mention of, because I know Dr. CEO is going to ask some great questions on this, those psychosocial dynamics. Cheryl just asked you about those. You remain calm. You said you pulled and, on your military background to be steady for your family at the time. You immediately said, okay, I understand my problem. Let's see how we can explore solutions.
Right.
You're the exception. What's typical, and this is something that I heard you say, Mr. Morris, in one of your talks, in the past, is that once you heard that word cancer, it just kind of, you called it the C word, and in some cases, it can just shut folks down. So getting beyond those barriers, all of those things, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, I just wanted to make mention of, so we can get some good questions around that. So Daryl, what's the first thing that came to your mind that you wanted to know as a man? Mr. Morris mentioned all of these things.
Well, the first thing I thought about was that first doctor. What was it? Why do you think he was so ready to cut before a second opinion?
Well, I know. Actually, he suggested I get a second opinion.
Okay.
As I alluded to earlier, most urologists, I mean, their course of treatment is surgery. And what I found in talking to a number of urologists and oncologists, they typically, the urologists prefer surgery because that's their area of expertise. And the radiation oncologists, they typically, not always, not 100%, they recommend radiation. Now, in my case, the reason I chose surgery, because based on the limited research I had done during that limited amount of time, it showed that if you have a recurrence and you have radiation initially, then the option of surgery is not there. Now, if you have surgery and you have a reoccurrence, then you have the option for radiation. And in my case, I think my course of treatment was right because I did have a reoccurrence. So I was able to undergo the 8 weeks of radiation.
And with the radiation, let's do this. So after the surgery, how were you able to function? With the prostate, with urination, ejaculation, all those things. How were those functions operating for you? Were you all good, or did you have some issues? You had to take medicine behind it. How did it work out?
All right, I had some initial urinary incontinence, severe at first.
Severe.
That only lasted maybe about 3 weeks, and then it gradually improved, and I wore some pads for the urinary. Now, as far as erectile dysfunction, that was prevalent from day one. Initially, I could not achieve an erection.
Okay.
That lasted for maybe a month, and then I went on the medication. Started out with Levitra, didn't work. Cialis didn't work, and then I got to Viagra, and that was effective. It wasn't 100%, but it was effective. I was on that for a while, and I tried a number of other things. There's Muse, which is a MUSE, which is suppository. I tried that.
Let me stop you for a second.
Sure.
Between Cialis and the other medicines, what's in Viagra that's not in those medicines that made it work?
No, that's a good question. I can't answer.
Okay.
I don't know. I just know.
Ask the doctor.
Did the doctor continue to recommend these other medicines, or you just tried the Viagra on your own?
No, he recommended it. He said, "Well, we're going to start with this one. If it don't work, we'll try this one. And if this don't work, we'll try this." But I think what really frustrated me, early when I got diagnosed, the sexual function was a concern of mine. Being my age, wife, and so that was a concern, and he kept brushing it off as if it wasn't a concern. And that's one of the things I hear from when I talk to men. They say, "Well, no, I'm not going to get treated because I can't deal with the side effects. If I can't have an erection, then I want to die." I said, "Well, no, time out. There are treatments. There are treatments available. We have injections now, which are a lot less painful than they used to be, and they work. I mean, pretty much 100% of the time. One medication is called EDEX, EDEX. I get it now through the VA. Works 100% of the time. But when I tell guys, your ED can be treated, and in my case, it can be treated, as well as the urinary incontinence. There are treatments they can do. There's some bands they can put on. There's things they can do, but at least you'll be alive. And I can understand. I can understand because it affects your psyche. It affects your mental because you lose. One of the things about men, we really, we don't have anything else.
Right.
We have the ability to be intimate with our partner. So you take that away, you take away the manhood, and so that was always in my mind.
So when when that happens, how does it affect your ability to create muscle? I mean, do you go to the gym now? Do you work out, or is there less desire to work out and be active? Did it slow you down? Once you got to a healing stage, how did it affect your ability to create muscle or maintain muscle?
Well, it really didn't hurt me in that regards. I mean, as far as muscle, being able to develop muscle, as long as I would exercise. I can tell you, it's a funny story. I mentioned the urinary incontinence. So you be out, and it's called stress incontinence, to where if you strain, there's some techniques you can do to prepare for the strain. But if you don't prepare, then you have some leakage.
Okay.
And I would be out maybe doing something, lift something, and then have a little leakage. Then I start looking around.
Yeah. See who saw it.
Don't nobody know this except me. Why am I worried?
Yeah,
so I just start going. I'm like, keep on going. It's all about the mental. I mean, I tell you, I think 85% of it is mental. How you affect it, how you address it, how you deal with the disease, because it is life changing. It ain't life ending, but it is life changing.
And from the time that you were diagnosed to the time of when they told you you're cancer free, how long was that process?
I'm still going through the process.
Wow.
I went every 6 months for 10 years. Where I go in every 6 months, and just to see if the PSA was elevated. I go once a year now. This is my opinion. I don't think you would ever get rid of the cancer. What I think happened, what I believe happened, you get to a level to where your body is able to defend against the cancer, to fight it.
Okay.
And sometimes things happen in your life, your physical and your overall health, to where your body can't fight off the cancer. Then you have a reoccurrence. So my thing now, I try to, and I'm not good at it, but I try to have a strict exercise program, try to eat right, try to eliminate a lot of the proteins and meats, and try to do the right thing. But I don't think you ever cancer free. I think you get to the point to where your body can keep the cancer at bay.
One last question before Dr. Davis jumps in. I know she is. You talked about protein. Why are you eliminating protein?
I've read some studies to where the protein in red meat has the tendency to increase the chances of prostate cancer growth.
Here's a man telling me after I just cut up a big steak on yesterday, you want to tell me about red meat.
and the other one is sugar. Sugar is the crack. Sugar is the crack for prostate cancer. Now, there's some studies that support that. Sugar.
Okay. Let me jump in here, because I do not want that to be your last question, Daryl. But there are a couple of things that I definitely want to address. I just love that engagement, by the way. First of all, I want to get to the Viagra, Cialis, Levitra issue. Medicines for erectile dysfunction. Many men feel like they are like love potion number 9. You take the pill, and everything kind of gets ready, and blah blah blah. That does not happen. PDE5 inhibitors are those are like receptors that control blood vessels' ability to dilate and hold. Okay, so in order to get an erection, your nerves and your blood vessels have to work together. And I'm just explaining this simply. Those medicines help the blood vessels open up and stay, so that those things can happen. If you're not doing anything to motivate blood vessels opening in that area, I mean, you can have blood vessels opening in your hands and your feet and your head and things like that. That's just how the medicines work. They're just vasodilators. The difference in them is how long they last, and the technical formulation of it. Cialis is about 36 hours. Levitra is about 12 hours. Viagra is about 4 hours. So there are some formulations now, 2004, 2005, this is about the time that Mr. Morris had his experience. But since I know tadalafil or Cialis has actually studied that function and has very low doses, like a 2.5 and a 5 that can be taken on a daily interval versus on a as needed interval that help with the ability to hold, to control urination a little better. Where there is, when there are prostate issues that go on, and the side effect is a better ability to achieve spontaneous erections, but just by taking lower doses on a more frequent basis. So that wasn't available at the time, but that has been studied with those medicines. So just kind of clearing that up a little bit. Mr. Morris mentioned that the incontinence, meaning the inability to control urine, because all the nerves, involved in removing a prostate were somewhat manipulated. They're taking greater care these days to preserve that nerve function. Back in the day, they just used to clip everything off and, to take the prostate, and once the nerves are clipped, they're just clipped. But and trying to, reestablish those connections after the prostate's been, removed and the nerves have been intact. It takes some mental and some physical, practice with, Kegel exercises and things like that to, help put those. It's like physical therapy for the muscles in the area. So Mr. Morris was focused, and he was able to get through that ED and incontinence phase because he worked at it. If you're wondering what a Kegel muscle is, I like to explain to my patients, especially men, when you were 20 years old, you used to stand in the mirror like Superman, hands on the hip, and used to make your body move, hands free. That's a Kegel's muscle. Or if you're trying to hold, gas in, if you're in public, those muscles that allow you to do that, those are those muscles that you're activating when you're doing Kegel's exercise. So doing that is like physical therapy for the muscles, in that area. Last, you mentioned about the proteins. Sometimes proteins and things that are not organic, the things like hormones or whatnot can interfere with, cancer if it's a hormone-mediated type of process. So it's best to talk to your doctor about what you can and can't do. And this show is not advising, one way or the other, but there's a little bit more involved, in the do's and the don'ts of the diet. Sugars, refined products, they increase the risk of cancer in all, regards, because it, refined sugars increase the chance of oxidation in the body. We've heard of antioxidants being good for us, like vitamin C, sometimes vitamin E, acai berry, things like that. That's why antioxidants are good for us, because refined sugars promote oxidation, and that can interfere with our health on many fronts. So quality of life. Tell us more about your quality of life, Mr. Morris, and DJ CEO. Keep asking those man questions, because I know our audience is really benefiting from the what to know.
Sure.
Now, I want to add here, when I talk about the erectile dysfunction and the medication. Unfortunately, the insurance wouldn't cover it. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I've heard this. I wasn't the only one. I said, wait a minute. Here is a situation, a condition I'm in because of prostate cancer, and insurance won't cover the medication. No. So now you got a cost, financial impact. At the time, Cialis, Viagra, it was close to $12 to $16 a tablet, a pill.
Wow.
My prescription, I remember I had Cialis for a while, the daily that Dr. Davis mentioned, that was $150 a month. The Viagra was like 110, and I forget what Levitra was. So that's a financial burden, if we will. And it wasn't until I got injured in the military, so I got VA disability, and my medication was covered. But up until then, I had a monetary outlay of at least $115 a month just for the medication.
Wow. And
I don't know if that's changed now. Like I said, I get my medication now through the VA.
All those medicines are
up until 2010.
Listen, Mr. Morris, You have truly enlightened us. Dr. Davis and Daryl, we need to do a part 2.
I agree.
I know Daryl has more questions. One of our viewers wanted to know, how did you handle all of this mentally? And that can be a conversation for another show, part 2. If you are amenable to coming back and joining us, then we would want to do that. I know Daryl was looking at maybe having some conversations with men concerning men health. Daryl, if we could just look at doing a show for just that and have Ms. Morris to come back on the show, because we did want to get in a couple of more questions, but we're at the end of the show, and we're ending the show today with 2 things. One, we want to say, listen, Father's Day is coming. We'll talk about Father's Day next week on the next show, but we want to say to you, Daryl Johnson, and to you, retired Major Barney Morris, happy Father's Day. We appreciate what you're doing to your families. We appreciate what you're doing to be a father to the community of our young Black males. And so to that, you'll hear more about that. And then we wanted to end the show with acknowledging our graduates. Dr. Davis has put her daughter through school for 18 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you and Julius. I mean, that's a feat in and of itself. And Ricky, you will scroll our graduates. We do want to take the time to honor them. Daryl, what is the main word you would say to our graduates today as their pictures come up on our screen?
Oh, persevere. It's all about perseverance. You just don't quit. Whatever it is you are aspiring to, if you stay with it, you'll get there. And let me just say one more thing, Cheryl, before you wrap it up. I want to invite everybody out to our Fresh Fridays event here at 5508. This Friday, we got a live band. It's free to the public. So go to Eventbrite, sign up, get your free admission, and come on out. You'll really enjoy yourself. Congratulations, graduates.
Awesome. And so there you see on the screen is Diamond McCullough, and to the campus of 5508, our CEO, Derek Blue #2.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations.
And Derek Blue #1 will be there.
Yeah, there you go. And so what word, Major Morris, would you give to our graduates?
Like I said, persevere and stay focused, and and keep moving forward.
I love them both. I love the perseverance. Congratulations to our graduates. Each week we will shout out more, but for those today, a special thank you. We are so very proud of you. We'll post your pictures as well. Thank you for engaging in the conversation, DJ CEO, and hats off to you. Listen, the man with multiple titles, to retired major, to captain, to father, to husband, to president emeritus. Thank you. We will look forward. We will look forward to part 2.
Part 2.
All right.
Before this is a wrap, Dr. Davis?
Absolutely. My word would be faith. Kids, have faith in yourselves, because all things are possible when you believe in yourself. Thank you so much, Mr. Morris, for telling your story with us today. We so look forward to part 2. Again, shout out to our sponsor, Moffitt Cancer Center. When you come back for this part 2, we absolutely look forward, and we will tap that resource to have maybe even Dr. Pausang, which is in the urology department, come on, answer some questions.
Yes.
Maybe even get some more members of the community to posit questions, just like you asked today, DJ CEO. This is a great show. Really great show.
Thank you.
It is a great show, and you heard it right here on Let's Talk Business with SJC, and my co-host for the second hour of the show, Dr. Sinead Davis. Thank you to our Facebook listeners. This show
is a wrap.
It's what?
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. All right.
We'll see you back for part 2. This show is a wrap.